Hello there, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have a new recipe for you guys. A recipe that I make every once in a while because it is a special recipe. And I'm always requested to make this by family. So yeah, it's made with chicken. I'm just using chicken breasts. I put them in the water so they could soak. These chicken breasts are salted already, so I won't be salting them. I've done that mistake in the past. I prefer not to buy salted chicken breasts, but they were the cheaper kind, so that's what I went with. And I'm just cutting them into small slices so they can cook faster, because if you're gonna cut them into chicken beefs or like slice the breasts in half, they'll cook for longer. So I prefer cutting them smaller just to make things go a little quicker. I would like to excuse my voice because my throat was a bit scratchy, so my voice may sound a little off. I don't know if you'll notice that, but just throwing that out there. Now I'm cutting up 2 kilos of chicken breasts. I think it's a lot. This probably serves 6 people, so 2 kilos is a lot. And if you're going to be using the same amount of chicken that I used, I recommend doubling up on the sauce. So the next step, we need to coat the chicken, and we're going to be coating it into this flour mixture that I'm making right now. I used about a cup of flour, maybe 2 tablespoons of black pepper. This all comes to what you prefer. I also put in some garlic powder. I used basil, I used oregano, I used thyme and rosemary. You could just use Italian seasoning. We don't have that here in Portugal, so I just make my own. If you didn't salt your chicken breast beforehand, you could add salt into the flour mixture and it'll be fine. I just coat all of the chicken pieces into this flour mixture. Make sure everything is nicely coated, and then we are going to fry them up. Now in the pan, I add about 4 tablespoons of olive oil. The recipe that I used called for butter, but olive oil is leaner, so that's my preference. You can fry it in whatever you want. You can fry it in oil even if you want to. You want the oil to be very hot before putting in the chicken so you can get that nice brown crisp sear on the chicken. There's not much to it. It's just cooking chicken, letting it sear nicely, and cooking it evenly on both sides. Now we're going to start prepping the ingredients that we're going to be using for our sauce, and we need 1 small onion, and we need a few cloves of garlic. I think I used 4, and I am using a manual chopper just because I had someone over today that doesn't like the texture of onions, so I had to cut it really finely, and I decided to use a manual chopper because it was quicker that way. But on a normal basis, I just chop it normally, small but not super small, because I like the texture of onions. It doesn't bother me, neither does it bother my boyfriend. This really just comes down to preference. And I'm adding the garlic in at the same time because we can hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Let me know how you feel about onion. Are you an onion person? I know some people who cannot deal with the texture but are okay with the taste, and I know some people who do not like the taste at all. Let me know in the comments below what you feel about onion. I think food is not the same without onion. Onion is something that gives an amazing taste, and I love the smell of it too when it's being cooked. Next, you're going to see me starting to cut up some cherry tomatoes. I am just slicing them into 2 pieces or 3 pieces, depending on the size of the tomato. This recipe is different because of these cherry tomatoes. I think this ingredient is one of the outstanding ingredients, and it's what makes the recipe unique and very flavorful. And I just have to say, the color of this cherry tomato is amazing. It's beautiful. Look at how red and vibrant it is. After chopping all of these tomatoes up, we are going to start with our sauce, and we are going to put in a couple tablespoons of olive oil, and we're going to add in the onion and garlic and let that soften up a bit. Once the onions are softened up, we add in the tomato and let it cook for a bit, just so the tomato can release a little bit of its juices. And I'm going to add in some wine to help the cooking process go a little faster. I added in about maybe a cup of wine. This is all eyeballed. I usually cook with my heart and not with the measuring cups. Next, after letting this cook for a little bit, I am adding in my herbs. I added in oregano. I added in the same herbs that I added in for the flour mixture. You can just use Italian seasoning if you want to, but I added in oregano, thyme, rosemary, basil, some black pepper, and I didn't add in the garlic powder because we already added in the chopped garlic cloves. And we mix it all up. As you can see, the liquid is starting to evaporate, but that's fine because we are going to be adding in some heavy cream, as you see me doing right now. I added in 400 milliliters of heavy cream. That was 2 small boxes. And we're gonna let that simmer for a little bit. And I added in some salt because I haven't added in salt from the beginning. Another optional ingredient is some hot sauce or piri. I added it in just because we do like a little bit of spice. And while that sauce is simmering, I started cooking my pasta. As you can see, I am doing the 3 things at the same time. I'm making my sauce, I am cooking my pasta, and I am cooking my chicken. After my sauce has been simmering for around 5 minutes, I tasted it just to make sure if it needed any more salt, and then I added in some Parmesan cheese. The amount of this is optional. I added in around a cup, and then after I sprinkled some more cheese on top of my pasta. And last but not least, I am adding fresh parsley to the pasta. I don't always do this, but I had some fresh parsley on hand. I washed it and I chopped it into big pieces because it will shrink with the heat. And I think it just gives a special touch to the sauce. It definitely adds another pop of color. Now we are assembling our dish together, combining the 3 ingredients that we just made. And I'm starting off with my pasta in a big bowl, and I'm laying on top of that all the little chicken bits that we just cooked up, as much as you can get on there. I cooked so much chicken that I had chicken left over, so I didn't put it all on top of the pasta. And then right after laying all your chicken on top of the pasta, you're going to just pour over that beautiful sauce. You can tell just by how the sauce looks that it's delicious. The colors are beautiful. It is a very flavorful sauce, and it's not something I always make, but when I do, it always hits the spot. If you are a cheese lover, now is the time to add more Parmigiano cheese on top of that pasta. And I'm going to tell you a secret, I put even more on my plate. And just for decoration, I put a little bit of parsley in the middle of that pasta. This is always a huge hit with my family when I make it. I'm always requested and nagged on to make this food, and I intentionally make it every few months just because I like to think of it as a special recipe. Fun fact, we call this the hangover chicken, in Portuguese a galinha ressaca, because I made this chicken for the first time when I was on a hangover. So we never know what to call this food, and that's what we call it here at home, just because of that moment, that memory. Here's a nice close-up of the food. I hope you like this recipe. Let me know if you try it out in the comments below. Subscribe so you don't miss future content, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!